with Dr. Jean Bruno, a really good friend of mine and a good friend of the natural products industry. We're going to talk about that today. He is the Chief Scientific Officer at Nutriland USA. We have done this many times, but we just got
Yes.
back, right? How many times? I don't even know. It's been, gosh, I've known you for decades.
I can tell you the first time was before my son was born, and he's 27 now. So,
It's so good. So we just got back. We were at the Natural Products Expo. There were 68,000 people there. And it's funny because we just kept seeing each other. And you'd think after 68,000 people, we wouldn't bump into each other. But I thought for a few minutes, I want to talk about the talk you gave there in a minute. But I wanted to just get your perspective. We've been going to that expo. I've been going since 1983. That's when I started my radio show. There on the floor with a little
hmm
table in front, and you had to walk around me to get into the building. And so it's now there's like 6,000 podcasters running around and crazy people. And
that's right.
but I wanted to get your perspective on what you thought about the show. What do you think about the industry? Where do you think where are we as a human race when it comes to choosing and making better choices?
Well, I want to say something that a lot of times, especially in people of our generation, there's often this, like, kind of joking or making fun of the Gen Z, but I have to tell you something. They've got something that our generation didn't always have. They are the show me generation. They want proof.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just going to say, "Oh, that sounds good." They're going to research it. They're going to go and use AI. They're going to use other things to see, is this real? And good for them, because you know what that does? That forces people in the industry who aren't the good players to maybe get better and start using evidence-based materials and start creating better formulas. And I see that out there. I see
Mm-hmm.
more and more companies trying to do the right thing, trying to do evidence-based products, and I'm seeing less copycats,
Mm-hmm.
more people trying to do some innovation. So I think our industry has a bright future, and to no small degree, I have to give the credit to the Gen Zs of the world.
Yeah, I think that they're still you know, tumbling forward, let's put it that way, because they don't really have the knowledge. They have the questions.
Yes.
And that's the difference between the generation that started this industry that said, you know what, we are the ones that are going to do this. We're the
Yes.
ones that are going to take it on, whether it
Oh,
was
our generation absolutely created
absolutely. I
industry.
mean, Mark,
No question about it.
and they walked on the floor with absolutely nothing but people looking at growing different ways, organic. How do we clean up some things, but we know we can't clean it all up. So that visionary foundation that you laid, I laid, the people that were there then. Even when John Robbins, who was on my show, Baskin and Robbins, like John was on the show and he, left his wealth because his family said, "You really can't do a non-dairy product. We have cows. We're an ice cream company."
Right.
And he literally left his family fold of the wealth and said, "I'm doing it." And so you had a lot of breakaways, a lot of pioneers, a lot of visionaries, a lot of breaking new ground. The second generation or the third or whatever it is now, they're using words like regenerative, which,
Yep.
if you think about Rick Scalzo and his whole thing with regenerative now, I mean, he was an early pioneer of Gaia, and broke new ground with all of the herbs. But there's new language. But I like what you're saying about that there's also, it's backed by science.
It is, and in fact, I'm I want to mention that uh, I was a panelist on an education session that was the first of its type I've ever done. And the topic had to do with AI and clinical research in this industry. And sort of about what I was saying earlier, the take home message from this, from the different panelists, was that people are now, especially the Gen Zs, they're going on to AI and they're searching to see if there's real evidence, if there's studies,
Mm.
if there's evidence showing that a supplement or an ingredient actually works. And so the message to the people attending was, if you own a brand, whether it is a finished good brand or it's an ingredient brand, you better do clinical research.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you're going to get left behind. And the people who are buying this are going to look and see if your ingredient or if your finished product is real,
Hmm.
really has something to offer them, and there's some evidence of that. And so that's something that I think is a great thing. And this is the direction. This is where our industry's headed to now.
Yeah.
It gives it greater credibility, and I'm all for it.
I think it's terrific. I mean, you work with Nutриland USA, and one of the things, uh, I mean, we work with them too now, and consequence of knowing you, and it's extraordinary. And you came up to me when we were at the UNPA event, and you said, um, "I've got melatonin," and I'm like, "Good luck," you know. And I said, not that I'm against it. It's just okay. And you said, "No, no, I've got plant melatonin. It's from tomatoes." And I perked up and I said, "What do you mean?" Because I think that synthetic melatonin, which is 90% probably of what's in the
About
marketplace.
98% of what's on the market, yeah.
Okay. So I said at first I was like, nah, I don't, not, yeah, sounds good, Gene. But so let's talk about that for a minute because you told me about Tomato and
Sure.
I did my research, and yet here is an example of a breakthrough in science and nutraceuticals that brought about a whole new segment in a category that was already flooded. So
Yeah.
what? Tell us about tomato.
So uh, when you hear that it's melatonin from tomatoes, it seems like a disconnect at first until you realize that all plants contain melatonin. It's part of a plant's light and dark cycle, and it has different roles it plays in plant morphology. So um, it's not that unusual. Now, even though all plants contain it, only some plants are commercially viable for extraction. So we use tomatoes and we create essentially what is an herbal extract. And that extract contains naturally phytomelatonin, which just means plant melatonin.
Hmm.
And um, and what's interesting is it has its own entourage compounds, things like lycopene, things like GABA, other things that work with it and help it to work better. And so we were pretty convinced of its effectiveness. So we did a pilot study. And in that pilot study, we used aura rings, which
Oh.
track the person's sleep cycle. Plus, we did, scientifically validated questionnaires and other means of assessing outcomes. We found tremendous results. We found people fell asleep 33% faster. We felt they had improvements in quality of life, a variety of areas where things improved. In fact, one of the things that we weren't testing, but we got feedback from people was, I have used melatonin before, but I would wake up in the morning with like a melatonin hangover,
A
a little
hundred
groggy.
percent.
And people were telling us, I didn't get that with
Right.
this. I didn't
Hmm.
get that. And so now we're doing a second study, a much bigger, randomized, double blind, placebo controlled trial. And it's going to have three arms: placebo, tomato phytomelatonin, and synthetic melatonin. We're going to compare them all, and we're looking at seeing what morning grogginess looks like with this, and we're anticipating some good results there. But we're so happy with the results, and also we find that the lower dose works really, really well. 2 milligrams is all we used to the study. You go into the store, you see 10 milligrams.
10
Well,
I've
you don't
seen
need
10
10
milligrams.
milligrams.
That
You
seems
don't
like a
need it.
lot to me.
It actually doesn't work better. If you
Mm.
look at the research, it's like a bell curve of research.
Hmm.
1 milligram works in helping to initiate sleep. 3 milligrams works in helping to promote sleep quality. And then it goes kind of down from there. There's no research on 10 milligrams.
Yeah. Well, it's
It's
like the
plug and play.
products that you put 27 different ingredients because when somebody sees it, they're like, wow, there's 27 different ingredients in here. This is awesome. Meantime, it's like a speck of a speck of a speck of
Fairy
a speck.
dust.
Yeah.
That's what we
Fairy
call it,
dust. Like,
fairy
right,
dust, right?
right, right,
It
right.
does, there's not enough to do anything, but boy, it sure looks impressive, but it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So now we have evidence that this works really, really well, and that it has these other compounds naturally occurring that make it even better. And so we're very excited about it. It's the whole food herbal extract source of phytomelatonin. In fact, it's just a wonderful product.
All right. We're running out the door. Where can people find it?
You
Stores?
can find it through Solaray, and you can find it through New Chapter. They each have products that contain the phytomelatonin or plant melatonin, and these are some really, really wonderful products when you see them.
All right. Well, Dr. Jean Bruno, I'm Danielle Lin. We'll see you next time. Take good care.